world we live in is covered in haunts, frights, and macabre memorials. From lavish decor made of human bones to creepy castles, the world offers a mix of natural and supposedly paranormal frights at a number of goosebump-inducing sites scattered across the globe. So join us as we uncover 15 cursed places that no one in their right mind should ever visit. And trust us, we're not kidding. These places are truly cursed, or at least that's what many believe. If you still have some doubts, you can visit them for yourself. But don't say we didn't warn you. Let's start off with number 15, the Stanley Hotel, Colorado. At first glance, the Stanley Hotel looks like the perfect mountain retreat. Majestic Georgian architecture, sweeping views of the Rockies, and a whiskey bar that could make a bad day good again. But spend a night there, and you'll quickly realize why it's become a hotbed for ghost stories and horror fanatics. Stephen King, who checked in on October 30th, 1974, described wandering its eerily empty corridors and dreaming of his son being chased by a possessed fire hose. Sounds specific, right? That nightmare inspired The Shining, and the hotel has been leaning into its creepy reputation ever since. Ghost tours, paranormal investigations, and an entire wing allegedly crawling with spirits are now part of the deal. Sure, the whiskey bar still hits the spot, but the real question is, can you stomach the company of the unseen while sipping your old-fashioned? Pack a flashlight, and maybe a backup. And don't forget your holy book. Number 14, Castle of Good Hope, South Africa. History buffs love the Castle of Good Hope for its status as South Africa's oldest colonial building, but ghost hunters know it for something else: bad vibes. Built in 1666, this imposing fortress has seen everything from military operations to prison riots, and of course, a good old-fashioned curse. The star of the show is Governor Peter Van Nout, who, after condemning men to be hanged, promptly died of a heart attack the same day. Coincidence? Unlikely. His restless spirit is said to roam the battlements, muttering about the bad choices that led him to this spectral career change. Visitors also report hearing disembodied footsteps, screams, and the occasional apparition popping up like it owns the place. Whether you're there for the history or the hauntings, one thing's for sure: the Castle of Good Hope lives up to its ironically cheerful name. Number 13, Valley of the Kings, Egypt. The Valley of the Kings is breathtaking, a sprawling desert landscape along the Nile that holds the burial sites of Egypt's most powerful pharaohs. But dig a little deeper, well, a bit more, and you'll find it's not all hieroglyphs and sarcophagi. This place comes with baggage. When King Tut's tomb was opened in 1922, a string of strange deaths and misfortunes followed, kicking off rumors of a pharaoh's curse. Lord Carnarvon, the man who bankrolled the excavation, was the first casualty, dying of an infected mosquito bite just months later. Since then, ghostly chariots, shadowy figures, and whispers in the wind have been reported. Is it a curse, or just the world's creepiest coincidence? You decide. Either way, the Valley of the Kings isn't just a historical wonder. It's a masterclass in making visitors wonder if they've pushed their luck too far. Number 12, Villisca Axe Murder House, Iowa. If you've ever thought, let's stay somewhere really unsettling, Villisca, Iowa, has just the spot for you. On June 10, 1912, a quiet farmhouse in Villisca, Iowa, became the scene of one of the most gruesome unsolved crimes in U.S. history. Josiah Moore, his family, and two unfortunate guests were slaughtered in the night by an unknown assailant with an axe. As if the story couldn't get worse, the killer was never caught, and the house has since gained a reputation for being haunted. Restored to its original condition, complete with no electricity or plumbing, the house now hosts candlelit tours and overnight stays for those who enjoy being terrified. Visitors report seeing ghostly children, hearing phantom footsteps, and feeling an oppressive darkness. Whether you're a true crime buff or just want to sleep where a murderer once stood, the Villisca Axe Murder House offers an experience you'll never forget and probably won't sleep through. Number 11. Hoia-Baciu Forest, Romania. Named after a shepherd who vanished with his entire flock of 200 sheep, Hoia-Baciu Forest is less a peaceful nature walk and more a portal to another dimension. It gained notoriety in 1968 when a military technician captured a photo of what he claimed was a UFO hovering over the woods. Since then, visitors have reported everything from missing time to physical symptoms like rashes, nausea, and sheer existential dread. The twisted, gnarled trees look like they're straight out of a horror movie, and the fact that the forest is in Transylvania, the land of Dracula, doesn't exactly help its reputation. Locals avoid it, but if you're brave or foolish, it's worth a visit. Just don't be surprised if you leave with more questions than answers, or if you don't leave at all. Whether it is cursed or just naturally creepy, Hoia-Baciu Forest is not for the faint of heart. Number 10. Sedlec Ossuary, Czech Republic. The Sedlec Ossuary might be the most Instagrammable nightmare you'll ever visit. Nestled in Kutna Hora, this 13th century chapel is adorned with the bones of over 40,000 people. Yes, someone looked at a mass grave and thought, you know what this needs? Interior design. The story goes that an abbot sprinkled soil from Jerusalem in the cemetery, sparking a burial craze that lasted through the Black Death. By the 19th century, the bones were piling up, so a woodcarver was hired to organize them. And by organize, we mean turn them into chandeliers, garlands, and skull pyramids. Today, the ossuary attracts visitors who can't decide if it's creepy, awe-inspiring, or a little too on-brand for Halloween. Whether you're here for the history or just to say you survived the vibes, one thing's certain. You'll never look at a bone the same way again. And let's be very honest. How did this dude manage to turn these bones into chandeliers? It not only requires skill or creativity, but a heart of tungsten and balls of steel. Number 9. Raynham Hall, England. On the surface, Raynham Hall is the picture of aristocratic charm, a grand estate built in the 1600s, set among Norfolk's rolling green fields. But dig deeper, and its allure starts to fade, replaced by the whispers of a ghostly tragedy. Enter Lady Dorothy Dolly Townshend, whose life turned from privilege to imprisonment when her husband, Viscount Turnip Townshend, allegedly locked her inside the hall, suspicious of her infidelity. Her spirit, they say, never left. In 1936, one of the most famous ghost photos ever taken, the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, captured her figure descending the grand staircase. Decades later, skeptics still argue over its authenticity, while others swear the photo speaks for itself. Visitors describe a heavy, unsettling air in certain rooms, as if Dolly herself is still pacing, trapped in time. Raynham Hall might be beautiful, but it's a beauty haunted by sorrow. Number 8. The Sultan's Palace, New Orleans. If houses could talk, 716 Dauphine Street would scream. On the outside, it's a French Quarter dream. Wrought iron balconies, lush courtyards, all the charm you'd expect. But in the 1800s, this was the domain of the Sultan, a wealthy, enigmatic man with a taste for excess and cruelty. The Sultan lived lavishly with a harem of women, boys, and anyone else he could trap within his walls. His reign ended in blood. One night, his entire household was hacked to pieces in a massacre, and the Sultan himself was buried alive in the courtyard. To this day, the home reeks of its grisly past. Neighbors report phantom music, the scent of burning incense, and cold hands brushing against their shoulders. Some female visitors even claim the Sultan hasn't given up his old ways, making his presence known with unwelcome touches. A postcard-worthy house? Sure. A peaceful one? Not a chance. Number 7. Dock Street Theater, Charleston. There's something magical about old theaters, but Dock Street Theater adds an extra layer: ghosts. Nestled in Charleston's charming French Quarter, the building is both a cultural gem and a magnet for the paranormal. The site's history is marked by disaster. The original structure burned down in 1740, was battered by an 1886 earthquake, and spent years abandoned before its revival. But its most haunting tale belongs to Nettie Dickerson, a 19th century woman reportedly struck by lightning while standing on the theater's balcony. Her ghost, draped in a tattered red dress, has been spotted gliding across the second floor, her presence both mesmerizing and chilling. The theater may now host sold-out plays and concerts, but ask any local, and they'll tell you Nettie steals the spotlight. If you go, enjoy the show. Just be ready for an uninvited guest. Number 6. Forsyth Park, Savannah. Forsyth Park is Savannah's crown jewel, a postcard-perfect setting with oak trees draped in Spanish moss and a famous white fountain at its heart. But beneath its beauty lies a darker, creepier past. The park is surrounded by underground tunnels once used by nearby Candler Hospital to transport cadavers for medical experiments. Let that sink in. The same park where people picnic and take wedding photos was a hub for corpses. Paranormal activity thrives here, with visitors reporting shadowy figures flitting through the trees and an overwhelming sense of being watched. Some say the spirits of those whose bodies were handled in the tunnels have never left, lingering just below the surface of this picturesque paradise. So, while Forsyth might seem like the perfect spot for a sunny afternoon, it's also proof that appearances can be deceiving. Number 5. Xunantunich, Belize. Hidden deep in Belize's lush jungle, Xunantunich feels like a place frozen in time. This ancient Mayan city, abandoned over 1,000 years ago, is steeped in history and something far more sinister. Visitors and archaeologists alike have reported sightings of a ghostly woman wandering the site, her long black hair flowing and her glowing red eyes fixed on the living. She's been seen most often near El Castillo, the towering temple that dominates the site. Known as the Stone Lady, her identity remains a mystery. Though many believe she was a human sacrifice, her blood spilled to appease ancient gods. Whether you're drawn by the allure of Mayan history or the thrill of haunting, one thing is certain: Xunantunich offers more than ruins and relics. It's a place where the past feels dangerously close. Would you like to visit this place? Number 4. La Recoleta Cemetery, Buenos Aires. La Recoleta Cemetery is like stepping into a Gothic fairy tale: marble mausoleums, winding stone paths, and the resting places of Argentina's most famous figures, including Eva Perón. But this iconic graveyard is more than just a resting place. It's a hotbed of paranormal activity. One story stands out. David Aleno, a caretaker who spent 30 years tending to the cemetery before taking his own life. Legend says he haunts the grounds, jangling his keys as he walks the paths in the early morning hours. Visitors have also reported faint whispers and shadows darting between the tombs, as if the dead are not entirely at rest. La Recoleta's beauty might draw you in, but its eerie energy is what stays with you. It's a place where life and death coexist, blurring the line between what's real and what's beyond. All right, guys, now, ready for the worst ones. Number 3. Höfði House, Iceland. Overlooking Reykjavik's waterfront, the Höfði House is best known as the site of the historic 1986 meeting between Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev, where two world leaders politely ended the Cold War, or at least didn't throw punches. Before it became a landmark of diplomacy, though, it was simply a house, one with an unsettling reputation. The home has hosted plenty of famous guests, from Winston Churchill to Marlene Dietrich, but it's the less invited guest, the White Lady, who steals the show. Believed to be the ghost of a woman who committed suicide in the house, she's been known to linger, causing panic among residents. One British ambassador was reportedly so disturbed by her presence that he begged the Foreign Office to sell the place, no doubt citing haunting under the property's structural defects. Today, Höfði House is a tourist attraction, but even visitors claim to feel a chill in the air, and it's not just Iceland's weather. Number 2. Bhangarh Fort, India. You've probably heard about the Bhangarh Fort, even if only for its reputation as the place where roofs come to die. Situated in Rajasthan's Alwar district, this 17th century fort is one of the most infamous haunted spots in the world. Local legend tells the story of a tantric, sorcerer, named Singya, who fell for Princess Ratnavati and, in true creepy stalker fashion, tried to use magic to win her love. She found out, turned the tables, and had him killed. Before his death, he unleashed a curse so dramatic it sounds like it came from a Bollywood script. The entire village would die, and no house would ever have a roof. To this day, any attempt to add a roof reportedly ends with it collapsing. Whether that's the curse or bad construction is up for debate. Night visits are forbidden, but hey, if you're feeling brave, you can test your luck during daylight hours. Number 1. Devil's Pool, Babinda, Queensland, Australia. Devil's Pool is as beautiful as it is unforgiving. A natural pool surrounded by smooth boulders, nestled in lush Queensland rainforest. But beneath its serene surface lies a dark legend. According to Aboriginal lore, a young woman named Ulana drowned herself in the pool after her lover was taken from her, cursing the waters in her grief. Since 1959, the pool has claimed at least 17 lives, often due to unsuspecting swimmers slipping into its fast-flowing currents or getting trapped in its notorious rock chutes. Locals say Ulana's spirit still lingers, pulling those who dare too close to her watery grave. Whether it's the curse or just nature's ruthlessness, Devil's Pool has earned its ominous name. The warning signs posted around the site aren't just for show. If you visit, admire its beauty from a safe distance. Trust us, this is one natural wonder you don't want to mess with. If you find this video interesting, please guys, like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.